So much like Kendrick Lamar has come in and ruined my reaction schedule by announcing an album and forcing my hand and making me react to Damn and get all prepared, so has Little Simz come in and smashed my list that I was preparing for my top 10 albums for the first year, the list of songs I had prepared for my top 10 tracks for the first year. Very disruptive, Little Simz, very disruptive, but in a good way, in one of the best ways. Lots of praise heaped onto Sometimes I Might Be an Introvert, and personally I think it's well-deserved. I got all kinds of notes here, but I'll just kind of ramble a little bit. A couple of things that I really liked was, I didn't know this until afterward, but apparently that was all live music, like live recorded in studio music. And at first I thought, this has a different sound. And I associated it to, being a UK thing or more of a cultural thing. Because some of her songs, it seems like you can hear some of an African sound, if that makes sense. I learned a term, Afro beats. I don't know what the hell that is, but I think I've kind of heard that term for the first time during this week. And so, I just kind of assumed on my initial listen that that's what was going on. But the fact that it's all live, man, it's so cool. Like I watched the Tiny Desk performance with her, and she's got a band and backing vocals and all, and it was great. I loved it. I really did love it. And then when I listened to it again, I could tell that, there's still beat structure, obviously, but it seems like the beat loops are a lot longer because it's a live playing type of thing. And I really, really like that. That's one of the things that I still really enjoy about rock over rap, in that because they're playing live, because they're either recording it live or playing it live. I mean, obviously rock songs have a musical structure that they follow, but there's a lot of little times where they just change things here and there. And it's easier for them to do that on the fly, playing it live, rather than trying to incorporate that into a pre-programmed beat structure that gets repeated at a certain interval and what have you. So just having live music, I think, adds to an experience that when it comes to lyrical experience, content experience, rapping experience, is already great to begin with. I did notice, I really enjoyed my first listen, but I did notice after a couple other listens, I got a little too far down my own little rabbit hole in terms of, the message that was being shared through the album and the story, and especially the back end. I really got stuck in my, Act 3 portion. I went through and I made my own playlist where I cut out, like 4 or 5 tracks. I got rid of the interludes, and it cut the album from 19 tracks at 65 minutes to 14 tracks at 55 minutes. And that makes it a leaner album. And when you remove the interludes, not that they're bad, I mean, I think they're great it is a story that's being told, more of like a character arc, something of a personal growth and things like that. When you take those out and you just kind of let it be as a set of songs, it's really cool in that sense too, because these are just a great collection of songs, man. And while there's a lot of, I want to say overproduction in some of these tracks in terms of, like this full orchestra and all this stuff, it's just sound that you wouldn't necessarily hear otherwise. I also like how much variety exists, like I Love You, I Hate You is still my favorite track. That's going to be one of my favorite tracks of all time, honestly. But like Speed's got a different sound. Standing Ovation's got a different sound. I See You is really mellow. I haven't really grown on that one too much, but it's just because I'm not into like the love songs. Rolling Stone is great. Protect My Energy has totally thrown me into like an 80s vibe. Like I feel like because of that track, I can just go listen to 80s music now that I would never mess with otherwise, just because I don't know why. I've got this like aversion to 80s for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know where it comes from, but I just have this initial reaction of no. But whatever. I don't know where it comes from. Anyway, Fear No Man, obviously a very different sound. How Did You Get Here? Misunderstood. It's cool how this album in flow did such a great job of just continually kind of, I don't want to say like rebirthing tracks and having all this original sound, but it's just, there's so much variety and I really, really enjoy it. And especially with which one is it? Speed dropping into Standing Ovation, because Speed ends with those violins and then it drops in with the loud sound and the vocals and all this other stuff from Standing Ovation. It's really cool. Introvert is such a great track too. I mean, I See You is the only track I don't have a heart next to in terms of my slimmed down, no interlude version for the playlist. But let's get more into some of the other things. You know, obviously I love the lyrics that she uses, the writing that she uses. And I remember watching a video. I don't think it was when I was doing Dark Twisted Fantasy, but it was shortly after I found this interview with Rick Ross, and he was talking about his verse on Devil in a New Dress and how he wrote an original verse and showed it to Kanye, and Kanye kind of like walked off and then came back, and I don't remember exactly what he told him, but he basically said, you can do better. And Rick Ross is sharing this story, of, people don't tell me that. So then he went back and redid the verse and came up with what we have on the track, which I love that verse. That whole verse is just cool. And you hear stories about how so-and-so did this take on the first try, or it was all freestyle, and, Jay-Z doesn't write anything down beforehand, and on and on and on. And while all those examples are really cool stories, I'm always left wondering, what would have happened if somebody who had this great verse, this great story, whatever it was that they did on the fly, what would have happened if they would have taken an hour and worked with that and really drilled down? Because if whatever emotion or experience or story is pushing that surface response, that surface experience that we got, I really want to know what exists deep down in there, And not to say that every artist should take what they do and pry it open and get into the guts and all that other stuff, but I always wonder, if it was that good on the first try, what could have it become if it was really tinkered with and worked on? And that's what I get from Little Sims, in my opinion. I don't know how much of this, was worked on or reworked or improvised or on the fly or anything, but I did watch the short film for I Love You, I Hate You. It was about 20 minutes. That was its own thing, and it was cool. It was kind of neat watching that. But what I really got from that was difficult. And I saw interviews where she was talking about that and how it was difficult, and she worked on it, and she worked on it, and she worked on it. And I feel like specifically with that track and really the album in general, you can tell she took the time to write it, change it, work on it, and you got this great end result because of that. I think stuff like that's really important. It's an interesting bag with music because sometimes the things that are improvised end up being so incredible. But then the flip side is, well, what would have happened if you would have just kept exploring that space more? What else would have come from it? So who knows? It's just how it is. What else we got? Did I write down on the notes? Oh, yeah. With Misunderstood, I've seen some comments where people, they didn't quite get into the sound of the album or whatever. And I saw an interview with her where she was talking about the final track, Misunderstood, and her relationship with one of her sisters. And she was essentially saying in the interview how, not that she's done with rapping, but she kind of approached the whole project of, what if this is the last one? She is an independent artist, and it's a little bit harder for her. She can't come tour. I noticed the other day, she's going to be in San Francisco, I think tonight. She was supposed to be in San Francisco tonight. I was like, oh my God, we're going to go. But she can't do the US tour because she was going to be here tonight. Yeah, we were going to I was going to fucking go. I was going to go. Yeah, we were, anyway. What was I talking about? Oh, right, the track. Anyway, so she was kind of approaching this album as, what if? Not that it is, but what if it's the last one? Are there things that she doesn't want to leave unsaid? And she had written all that stuff about her dad. And so I think she mentioned that's why Misunderstood came to be. And I think in general, you can kind of feel that throughout the album of it's big. It's got a big bang to it. Leave it all on the field, as I like to say in sports. Just don't leave it. Don't take it all back with you. Just dump everything out and do your thing. Just go for it. I was stumbling all over my words right there, and I threw myself off track. So, for those of you who maybe you hear this album, you think, it's a little too much. It seems to be that's the reason why. Not necessarily that's going to make you like the album more, but at least you can understand where she's coming from. I really want to hear Gray Area now. I will definitely do a reaction to that. Simbi's one of my favorites now. I mean, she really is. She's incredible. her writing ability, her rapping ability, inflow is fucking brilliant. These two working together is incredible. So yeah, there you go. What else do I have? Do I have any other notes? I think that's it. Kind of a shorter video, only 10 minutes. Do you have anything you want to say? We enjoyed the live performance, the Tiny Desk thing. That was cool. I didn't have you watch the Introvert video. That was neat. The Introvert video was actually, all the music videos were really cool.
No, I caught the Love You Hate You.
Yeah, but the music videos were pretty neat, pretty artsy. You know, lots of stuff going on there. I guess that's it. There you go. I loved it. I really did. I loved it. I really started to enjoy it even more when I kind of took out some of the interludes. Again, not that they were bad, but once you get the story arc idea of the album, you can clip those out, and it's a pretty nice, lean little ride. Lots of neat songs, great lyrics, great rapping going on. I'm repeating myself, so I think I'm officially done. It's Danny Brown, XXX is coming up Friday. I'm excited, and we'll see you guys then. I remember the one other thing I wanted to say. I was sitting there drinking beer, eating pretzels, listening to the video, and then remembered. Another thing I really like about Simbi, well, her and the album, you can tell she's a fan of Kendrick Lamar. You can tell Kendrick Lamar had a pretty good influence on her. And I feel like she is exploring a space that's fairly similar into what he's exploring as well. It's something, you know, personal. She's digging in deep, looking around. But what I like about her, and this is not a fault against Kendrick at all. I mean, Kendrick does his thing. He does it really well. I think he's pretty much the best. But what I like about her is that I feel like she does it in a way that's a little bit more clean. Man, Kendrick, when he starts really digging into himself, he gets messy, you know? Not that that's bad. You know, everyone's got their own things that they're sorting out, and sometimes that shit is just really, really messy. And that's fine. You know, that's just how it is. And if you're working through it, you're working through it however it is, messy or clean. But sometimes as a listener, that messiness can be hard to handle, you know, because Kendrick can really get in there. Like I always think of You. That track is just brutal. It's a brutal track. And so when I listen to a song like I Love You, I Hate You, I feel like I can hear her wrestling with these things that are very personal to her, very difficult for her, and hard to work through. But I also feel like she does it in a way that's a little bit more objective, maybe. Not so self-punishing, a little bit less blame, and just more or less looking at a situation and going, okay, this is how it is. This is how I feel about it. This is how I'm working through it. And this is where I am now, you know? And it seems to be just a little bit more zoomed out, a little bit more objective, a little less self-punishing. And I really like that. Even with the opening track, Introvert. I mean, she's really laying out there all these different things that are bothering her, that she's upset with, that she's frustrated with, whatever. But it's kind of clean, you know? And on one hand, I do like that raw emotional experience. But on the other hand, sometimes, man, it's just hard. It's hard to listen to, you know? And so I feel like with Simbi, maybe there's a day I want to listen to Pimp a Butterfly. But honestly, I don't listen to that album very often because it's just a heavy lift. I say that every now and then, but that's how I feel. Like it is an emotional investment. I feel like I could put on, sometimes I might be Introvert, and have an experience content-wise, lyrically, that's similar without the emotional drain, if that makes sense, you know? And not to say that she is not emotional or she does not strike emotional. Of course she does, but it's just the way she presents it, the way she handles it and puts it out there is a different style, a different energy. And that's one of the things I really like about this album is that it's just kind of it's the same tree, but just a slightly different branch, if that makes any sense. It just popped in my head. Hopefully that analogy works. Okay, there we go. Now I'm done. That was my Additionallyier thoughts on Sometimes I Might Be Introvert.